Before we really get rolling on Aetna's Recovery Care and GTL's Recovery Cash, a couple housekeeping things. First of all, my name is Jeff Clark, Regional Director here with GoldenCare. Been with GoldenCare for nearly 25 years. Have written a lot of long-term care in the field, so I'm kind of coming at these presentations as kind of someone who still writes some long-term care, but also as a director who compares, contrasts, and makes recommendations for a lot of brokers all over the country. So that's kind of our intent today as we're breaking down the Aetna Recovery Care and GTL's Recovery Cash. Those are two plans that you really have to have in today's age of long-term care with so many declines, and it's so hard to get traditional long-term care plans placed and or even afford them. So that's part of why we have to have good short-term care plans, which are the two that we're going over, Aetna Recovery Care and Recovery Cash. But before I do that, do you realize, and this is something that Steve Moses spoke to us at our industry updates and the Center for Long-Term Care Reform, and he had some just great information about what's going on in our industry right now, and it's such a that with the COVID and everything. Now, there's a couple stats here. 61% of people surveyed said they'd rather die than go to a nursing home right now. A couple of the ones that I kind of pulled out of this. If you're receiving your care at home right now, you've had a stroke and you're getting cared for by a home health care agency that's coming to the house. If that's the scenario, you have a 3% chance of contracting coronavirus and a 1% chance of dying from that. Conversely, if you're in a facility right now, assisted living or nursing home, you have a 37% chance of contracting coronavirus and an 11% chance of dying. So you're like 11 times more likely to die if you get your care in a facility. I can give you some more stats here that 22,000 people were pronounced dead in Connecticut, Massachusetts, Jersey, and New York in just 3 months. Now, I can tell you something that if you've been watching the papers, this number is very under-exaggerated. They're saying now that a lot of these reports were the people that died at the hospitals, they didn't count, even though they came from the nursing home where they got the coronavirus. So it's kind of, I don't know, they're just kind of playing around with the numbers, but this number is actually a lot larger than we realize. Another stat we just added here, 14,000 Canadian deaths attributed to the pandemic as of early January. That's a heartbreaking 73% of these were in long-term care or retirement homes. Folks, what I'm trying to say here is people right now are terrified of going to a long-term care facility. Just in my own book of business, I do some Medicare work. I've had 3 clients call me out of the blue last month and just more or less telling me that I'm really interested in hearing more about nursing home insurance or long-term care insurance. I had a guy tell me that, Jeff, I'm not afraid of having a stroke. I may not die from that. I may be in a facility for 6 months, then come back home because I might die when I'm at the facility. So literally these people are 61%, they'd rather die than go to a nursing home. So what does this kind of mean? So as agents, I really feel like there's kind of a responsibility. I don't want to call this an opportunity because I feel like I'm cashing in on something that's so sad and tragic in our country, but there's almost a responsibility, an obligation on us as agents' part to start talking to our clients about this. They're afraid. They are fearful of nursing homes. They need us more than they ever have needed us. So, with that, we're going to be sending this out actually, I think even this week. We have what's called a Corona COVID marketing 6-pack. I'm trying to be cute, but I guess we are. But there's 6 marketing pieces that are, just to give you an idea, this issue brief here by the American Academy of Actuaries on the impact of COVID on long-term care. Great stuff in here. Things you should know if you're going to be in this industry. We'll also give you Steve Moses' clip notes about, again, this is long-term care in the pandemic. All kinds of great links here to articles that you should know about. I just read this one here. Because of you guys, I'm stuck in my room. I got to tell you, that was pretty powerful. We think about all the people that say, yeah, it's no big deal. We can stay out. We can go to restaurants. And if you don't like it, stay home. Well, some of these people are saying, I'm literally stuck in my room because we can't get out. A lot of angles, a lot of perspectives. Just encourage you to kind of look at this COVID marketing 6-pack we're putting together. A lot of great stuff. And start talking to your clients about this, because right now they are afraid and they need us. So anyways, I'm going to get off my soapbox here now and go ahead to continue this presentation. Let me go in presentation mode. Okay, so today, it looks like it didn't switch us. Let me switch this again. Give me 1 second. I should swap this over. I'm hoping now that maybe Lynn can confirm that you're seeing the whole screen again. Okay, so Aetna versus GTL. So this isn't like a combative thing by any means. I mean, when you're in long-term care in this day and age, you really have to have a solution for the people who are going to be declined and the people who are going to not be able to afford. Long-term care has gotten expensive. It's gotten hard to get. So having this Aetna and this GTL as kind of our short-term care, we have another one coming too. I know that we're getting close on that. So this arena, the short-term care, is going to become more and more important as people get priced out and or aged out and just can't afford long-term care or can't qualify for it. So these plans become very, very important. And if you do, by the way, have a decline case or you see something that's part, but you want to maybe run a case by us, make sure you give us a call at the conclusion of this thing, and we'll help you quote one of these things. But anyways, meanwhile, so product suitability. So people often ask me, when do you use one product over the other product? Is Aetna's better? Is GTL's better? I would just say this: they're both different. I use them in situations that are different as opposed to maybe someone's height and weight. Maybe it's a build thing. Maybe it's a state availability thing. Maybe it's if they're younger, they want inflation or don't. So I use both of these plans, I guess, depending on where it's at. But number one, product availability. So you can see where Aetna's recovery care is available. You see where both products are available. And so anywhere in that green area, of course, I'm selling either one. But if I'm selling in Wisconsin, I'm probably looking at recovery care because GTL isn't approved there. Or if I'm looking at Indiana, same thing. Or if I'm in Pennsylvania, well, the only thing I've got here is GTL's recovery cash. So, first of all, the product availability is big, and that's where you're going to have some differences. Company background. Aetna, we all know what Aetna is. They're huge. They insure estimated 44 million people. Excellent, big company. GTL, they're a little smaller, kind of a niche company. They have a neat little company. We've been working with them for, I guess, 20 years or more. They have all those niche products. They've got the hospital indemnity. They've got the recovery care, the cash. They've got critical cash. They've got all those products you kind of need, I guess, and you're in that Medicare market, the cancer, the heart attack. They really have some neat products. And in this particular one, this is their short-term care. I use this one quite a bit. I've probably sold, I don't know, I want to say 10 to 15 of these plans. I maybe only sold as little as 10 of the Aetnas, but again, I'm not in the field much. I don't get much chance to talk to folks. But over the last 5 years, I suppose. So neat little company, GTL. 22 million in operating gain while growing surplus of 15% assets, 6%, and reserved by 7%. Net premium last year, 232. They are A minus, excellent rated. So maybe not as well known as Aetna, but a great little company. Okay, so policy basics. You're going to see, and again, we're trying to show the differences here, and believe me, we're trying because these plans are so alike that it's hard not to. It's hard to pick them apart. Issue ages. Aetna is 50 to 89, and GTL is 40 to 84. Again, we talked about the rating. A, excellent for Aetna. A minus, excellent for GTL. The nursing home amounts. So Aetna will let you go down to $10 and go up to as much as $300 per day. Well, GTL is going to start at $50 a day and go to $300 per day. The benefit periods, you notice there's a little more flexibility with GTL here. Aetna just has a 3-month, 6-month, 9-month, or a 1-year benefit, where GTL's got that 30, 45, 60. So, they got a month and a half, 2-month, 3-month, 6-month, and 1 year. I can tell you, now these are reusable, by the way. So if you have a claim of, I don't know, you have a 360 plan and you use up a year of care, you get better. 6 months later, 12 months later, the policy will be available again for a second claim. So important to note, both of those plans do that. Again, with these short-term plans, I'm just going to my own 2 cents here. 90% of claims don't go beyond 2 years. And so there's nothing wrong with selling a 1-year plan. It's going to take care of a bulk of the plan, cover the care these folks are likely going to need. So, I see so many agents get frustrated with long-term care and they walk away from it. They get a decline, or maybe it's too expensive, and the client and they don't even know about the plans like the short-term care plans. I'm a big believer in some coverage is better than nothing. And so if you do have a tougher case to place, or you have someone that's maybe priced out or doesn't want to spend $2-3 grand on a long-term care plan, take a look at these little options. So, reusable 1-year plan is not a bad deal at all. Okay, elimination periods. With Aetna, we have a 0, 20, or a 100. With GTLs, they have a 0 or a 20. Hospital indemnity benefit. So Aetna's, unlike GTL, has their own very good hospital indemnity plan. Aetna's throwing a little hospital indemnity benefit into this plan that you can add. Again, maybe it muddies the waters, but you might run into some clients that are sitting out there with a Medicare Advantage plan that they just got, during the last Medicare Advantage season, and maybe they do want to do something with that. So if you understand the Medicare arena, I guess it's not a bad little tool to have in the cabinet there. So, restoration of benefits, like I mentioned, yes, each after 6 months, this policy restores. So this 1 year benefit or the 9 month benefit with Aetna or the 180-day benefit with GTL, if you use up that benefit after 6 months, you're eligible to claim again. So it's a reusable account, and these both benefits are paid as an indemnity. Some more policy basics. Both of these things trigger the same way. There's no one that's better, easier to claim on than the other one. They're both very similar to long-term care. So if you can't perform 2 out of 6 of your ADLs, or if you have a cognitive impairment, activities of daily living there. So they're very similar to long-term care. And cognitive impairment means that we're losing the car. We're not just losing the car keys, right? So we're having some cognitive issues. With GTL, there is an annual policy fee. With Aetna, there isn't. Bed reservation benefit. Aetna does have that in their policy. GTL does not. Spousal discount. Aetna doesn't give you a spousal discount. GTL, yes. You get a small discount there for the married couples. Premium modal factors. Again, this is just, I guess, housekeeping stuff, but 1.0 for annual, obviously. Semi-annually, 5.52 versus 0.515. Quarterly, 265. So some very small little haircuts there. One thing with Aetna, though, you notice is that 0.8333. It's a true 1/12. GTL is about as close to 0.8, 1/12 as you can get. So I'd say overall, there's pretty small premium loads for paying, semi-annually or monthly. Or again, there's absolutely no penalty for paying monthly with Aetna's. Pre-existing, they both have a 6 month prior to the effective date of the policy. Okay. Optional riders. Now, this is, again, we just talked about the nursing home amounts that can be, a 6 months or a 3 month or a 1 year benefit. That's for the nursing home part. So both of these have the ability to add some home care to it. Now, of course, if I'm selling a short-term plan, I'm adding home care to every one of them. We know that 80% of claims start at home. So naturally, I'm going to be putting the home care riders on these things. So with that, with Aetna, we have the option to add 150, 300, 450, 600, 750, 900, 1,050, or 1,200 per week. So that's a pretty stout benefit. That's 4,800 per week or a 60,000 a year benefit. And you can have this for 13, 26, or 52 weeks. A lot of times when I'm doing it, I'm using the 52 weeks just because I want to have at least 1 year of home care. I know how often that gets used. Now, again, just like with a nursing home, the lifetime maximum is you can reclaim twice. So you could have a year-long home care, at 600 a week, recover for 6 months, and that benefit's available again. So over here with GTL, now here they do it a little differently. They're doing this on a per visit basis. So 25, 50, or 75 per visit. Okay. And that's, again, 90 visits or 180 visits. So, typically, and I can argue that 180 visits is more than even a year because typically a nurse is coming out to see you 2 to 3 times a week. So 180 visits could last you a year and a half. Okay. So, and that's just a total number of visits, and it's used up. Elimination period here, you have a 0 or a 20. So one thing to note here, if you notice the benefits are a little lower on GTL side. In other words, $75 per visit might be okay for for a basic nurse, for somebody to help you with cleaning or something, or bathing, and so it'd probably be important to put some inflation with that if you're speaking to someone who's, in their 40s or 50s that didn't qualify for long-term care. So the fact that they have that inflation, typically if you're younger folks then that maybe unfortunately don't qualify for long-term care, GTL might be a better fit because they do the ability to inflate the amount. Over here in Aetna, I would just ramp this up a little higher, maybe to that 1,200 per week type thing or a 900 per week, and then be done with it as far as the inflation. So, 2 options. So if I'm dealing with someone that's a little older, maybe Aetna's a better fit because I can't put the inflation there. I can just, put a stout amount to begin with. and move on. So that's another one of those things, the differences. All right. Okay. The application process. So GTL paper applications require initial premium, check or money order. Otherwise, will be returned to the agent. Electronic applications require an applicant EFT bank information prior submission. So GTL does require initial premium check, money order. Otherwise, again, so the electric applications, they have the EFT format. I would strongly suggest just using the EFT. It goes really fast. Aetna will process the applications without premium. The coverage will not be effective, of course, until premium is applied, which is kind of standard, I guess. The average short-term application for processing time for both companies is about 5 to 12 business days. These happen pretty fast. Now, and I think what we're going to do is we're going to break down here the different. On the pharmaceutical check, we'll have an underwriting slide that will break this down. But typically, these companies are going to do a quick pharmaceutical check. So if there's anything, as long as your questions are jiving with the medications you're having, these things get issued pretty fast. They're not offering ordering medical records, or unless something doesn't match up. I have had a situation where, the person's taking some medication that's typically for a cancer or something, but it turns out it's for something else, and so we had to order records. And so it can happen, but typically they don't. And normally, like with GTL, when that does happen, it's usually at the applicant's expense. But okay, so let's highlight some differences, and I'll go back to the underwriting there. But GTL's Recovery Cash is one of the few short-term care products on the market that's currently offering, the inflation protection. Now, granted, those amounts, like I mentioned, are a little low to begin with, but when you can also get a daily benefit on the facility of say up to $300 per day or $9,000 a month. And then I can add that inflation, that becomes bigger. So the home care might be a little smaller, but yeah, if you're talking to younger folks out there, I don't know, there's plenty of people who get declined that are 55 years old. I just had a 54-year-old lady decline recently. So that does happen. And so you want to be able to have that inflation protection, 5% compound or simple. Of course, with Aetna Recovery Care, we don't have inflation. So again, younger folks, probably GTL better fit. Aetna's Recovery Care. Now, this does include the hospital indemnity benefit, which again, if those of you are in Medicare, there's two kinds of Medicare plans sold: supplements and Advantage plans. Advantage plans are the ones that Joe Namath's talking about and getting all the Medicare benefits you deserve. So they're an Advantage plan. Their biggest pitfall, their biggest expense that's facing them is if they go to the hospital, they usually owe about $350 a day for a maximum like 5 days. So they've got that $1,500 hanging over their head. So a hospital indemnity plan is for like $20-30. You can add something that's going to pay $300 a day for say 5 days. So that's nice that it's in Aetna's Recovery Care. Sometimes it's a nice way to pick up a hospital indemnity sale while you're in there. So anyways, those of you in Medicare probably know what we're talking about there, but their benefits range from $10 to $300. For each day of confinement, up to 20 days per period of care with a lifetime maximum of 365 days. GTL's Recovery Cash does not include a hospital indemnity benefit, but again, they do have one on their own. So it's if you are truly in a hospital indemnity mode and you're trying to sell that by itself, there's where I'd probably give GTL the nod and just their straight up one. But okay, policy fees. We mentioned this before. Aetna's doesn't have a policy fee, where GTL has a recurring annual policy fee. Spousal discount. When a couple applies with the GTL Recovery Cash, there's a 10% discount applied to each policy. Of course, with Aetna's Recovery Care, there is no spousal discount. Bed reservation. That's kind of a big thing sometimes. For those of you who maybe don't know what bed reservation means is, if you're in a facility, a nursing home, and you have a stroke or you have a heart attack and you go to the hospital, these places are usually on 100% capacity. They have to be. So they'll give your bed away as soon as you hit the hospital, especially if you're not coming back for a couple of weeks, and then maybe you go into a rehab center. So that bed will be at least held for 10 days with Aetna's Recovery Care. There is no bed reservation with GTL's Recovery Cash. GTL has been in our portfolio for years, and many of you have already got some of our critical cash or some of the other products we use. So adding the Recovery Cash is pretty quick and often easy if you already have GTL, but typically the appointment process takes 1 or 2 weeks. Now, Pennsylvania, of course, is one of those pre-appointment states, a couple other, I think, but GTL will pay for the first state appointment once business is submitted. The renewals, this is just a different way that carriers are doing it. good, bad, or indifferent, it's getting expensive for the carriers to do business. All these states keep kind of nickel and dime with fees to appoint agents. And so in the olden days, we've all heard what just in time means. I'm just going to pause to make sure everyone's understanding this slide here because I get this question a lot. So GTL is going to appoint you. When you have an app, they're going to hold your license in kind of a just-in-time position. They're not going to actually license you with the state. They're going to put it in that holding pattern. So when you get an application, they're going to go ahead and pay that $25 appointment fee that the carrier has to pick up on your behalf to get your license in a certain state. So when you give us like 7 non-resident licenses, in the past, people used to set up all these carriers and pay all these fees, and it just got to be so much for a lot of carriers. They're doing a lot of these just-in-time appointments. Well, GTL says, look, we're going to go ahead and pay your appointment fee the first app you're in. But then if a year goes by and you submitted one in Pennsylvania, last year, and then now a year comes by and the Pennsylvania, it's come due again, you don't have an app to submit, they're just not going to pay that $25 for you automatically to renew it. So if you want to, they'll let you know. We'll keep it active. You want to pay that otherwise they'll put it back in a holding pattern again. So just kind of make you aware of that. They'll pay it the first time, but after that, they kind of let them expire. So always kind of check with us before you write a certain state or et cetera. So, all right. License appointment. Aetna's appointment process is lengthy, arduous. Yeah, it can be. Aetna's got so many. They're merging with this company. They got that company. They just got through their advantage period, fortunately, so they're a lot better now. But yeah, Aetna can take a little while. Aetna doesn't accept emailed contracts, only faxes. 10 states require pre-appointment, so a lot more than just the one state of Pennsylvania. So if you're thinking about it, I would just suggest to go ahead and get this added. Call us up, get the Aetna recovery. They do it a little differently. They're a big company. And so put it in your portfolio, but go ahead and start that. If you think that you might be writing some of these, then go ahead and get that started. So you don't allow dual hierarchies. So if you have other products with them, they're going to want you to move those too. But I do suggest you do have both GTL and Aetna's, obviously with the appointment map, the different cities or states it's approved in, inflation versus non, build charge versus non. So underwriting requirements. I touched on this earlier. So GTL's recovery cash application includes 11 yes/no questions, a build chart, and a pharmaceutical check is utilized for all applicants, and a phone interview for anyone that's 75 plus. Sometimes for younger people at underwriting discretion. So I've had that happen again when maybe there's a cancer, a history of cancer, and the underwriter maybe wants to go ahead and give them a call to see how that cancer is coming out. But they're going to health interview. They're going to give everyone a call at 75 or older. Some, depending on the pharmaceutical check, if you're under 75, if you have some health conditions, so they might get a call there as well. Aetna's Recovery Care does not use a build chart. So I'm just going to pause there again. Sometimes we get declines because people are a little heavy. Their builds aren't right. They're whatever it is, 5'2" and maybe 300 pounds. So if their build doesn't work, I'm going to say go to Aetna's Recovery Care. It's another one of those situations where we'll kind of advise you on those when you call in. But this application includes 7 yes or no questions. I mean, honestly, those couple of these 7 questions are like those questions that go on and on with 4 different parts. 1A, 1B, 1C. So they both have about 7 to 11 questions in there. The underwriting involves a pharmaceutical check, and then the phone interview with them is for cause only, similar to GTLs. I mean, if you have a history of cancer or something, they're gonna give you a call. With GTLs, if you're over 75, they're always going to call you. That's not the case necessarily with Aetna, but essentially both these carriers, if there's a reason, there's some kind of a health issue, it's not unheard of that they make phone calls. So just make your clients aware of that. They'll give them a call. They'll check their pharmaceuticals. The main thing they're doing here is they're checking to see if the medications are matching up with how they answer the questions on the application. So if they're saying they don't have Parkinson's and they're taking a Parkinson's medication, they might get a phone call. So just kind of common sense there. But okay. The premiums compared, and we're about wrapping up here, folks. But so Aetna's, if we quoted a $200 a day or a $6,000 a month benefit, we're going to do the 1-year plan. And this is, by the way, this is for a single female non-tobacco age 51. And just, again, maybe someone's been declined long-term care. So we're going to put a 20-day elimination period on there. Remember, one has a $25 policy fee, one doesn't. But if you look at the rates here, if you're not putting the home health care rider in there, which I'm not sure why you'd sell one of these without the home care in it, but if you didn't, so that's pretty similar in premium here, $477 versus $433. So you kind of wonder that policy fee that they have in there. I mean, it's Sometimes I wish they just put that in the rate and not charge it, but be that as it may, even with that policy fee in there, they're a little bit lower. But then if you look at their home care, and this is where GTL, because it's a little lesser of a benefit. Let's be honest. If I want to do $75 per visit, I'm sure I could have that many a month. If I had all 20, 30 visits a month, it might get up to that 6,000 level. But so Humana's home care portion is a little more robust. So naturally, their premium is a little more robust there. So, with the home care, which again, I'm still a big fan of, I always kind of bolster the home care. So that total's going to be $1,300 versus about $1,000. So again, depending on what you're looking for, what you're doing, these are both really good plans. And there's just some differences when you have to look at it. So special for attendees. For attending today's presentation, GoldenCare is pleased to offer you a complimentary access to our short-term comparison. How cool is this? Yeah, so StrataDecision, if you don't do much with the long-term care, it's a great comparison tool. StrataDecision now does burials, they do short-term care, they do advantage plans, they do. So the StrataDecision here is got a nice short-term care plan comparison tool where you can look at these plans side by side. So free access looks like for attending today, both featured products in today's presentation are available to quote and compare. To get started, visit our agent site. And if you guys don't know about GoldenCareAgent.com, so many tools on there, so many great things to help you write more. Pre-recorded trainings such as this one today. So if you didn't like this training, we have other directors, personalities or voices, if you will, that have done these trainings. So you're welcome to go through our library of trainings there at GoldenCareAgent.com. Other than that, all kinds of tools and resources such as StrataDecision here that you can use to quote, compare, contrast. So anyways, free 30-day trial to non-appointed agents. So if you're one of the people on this webinar, you're not appointed, you want to kick the tires a little bit, feel free to take advantage of that. Okay, with that, then I want to thank people. Remember, our agent site is GoldenCareAgent.com. We do have a consumer site, GoldenCareUSA.com. But GoldenCareAgent.com. Our number is 800-842-7799. I'm going to go to questions quick here and see if we had too many. Here, thank you, Randy. GTL did, and it's good. It's a good point here. On their home care only standalone home health care plan, they did change their issue age from 61 to 85. So this recovery cash plan they have actually does still have all the ages that we did mention there. But, there's so many plans here. It's hard to kind of keep them all straight. This is why, listen, I tell this to every class I talk to. If you're looking at some of these plans, and I assume you're on there because you are, give us a call at the marketing office, and I'm going to put that number on here, 800-842-7799. And I mean this so sincerely. We do know all these plans, and sometimes the things change on them, but, I'd like to think that we do this for a living. So when you have a case, and maybe it's that married couple that are super healthy, 54, have plenty of money and means, and they want to buy a traditional long-term care plan, we'll shop that market based on what they're trying to, look for, what part of the country, and we'll help you design the best plan. But in the very likely event that you have something with some health issues, again, I don't know, history of cancer, or maybe they've got lupus, or you name it. We know this market. We'll find the plans that work for you. And these short-term care plans you just looked at are two good answers. Well, we have home care only plans. We have the hybrid long-term care plans. If maybe they've got some dead money sitting there, they want to do a 1035 exchange. And maybe their health is such that they're not going to get any of these plans. They've got maybe the very beginning of Alzheimer's. Well, then we have True Freedom. So True Freedom, they can buy prepaid home care hours. So no matter what you bring us, we're going to find that plan for you. We're going to help you, help the folks that you're trying to, that are reaching out to you. And I just want to close with this again. Remember the COVID comments? I think part of the things we're going to send out for attendees is we're going to start sending out some of this COVID information I've been talking about. Your clients out there are scared. They don't want to go to a nursing home. They need agents to come and tell them about long-term care and short-term care and ways they can help stay out of the nursing home and maybe get their care at home. So I couldn't think there'd be a better time to be in this industry. I want to thank you guys for attending. Remember, our number is 800-842-7799. My name is Jeff Clark, and good luck selling out there, everyone.
Check out our website, GoldenCareAgent.com, or give us a call at 800-842-7799.